Thanks to the rousing failure of SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, 2009 has anywhere to go but up. It definitely goes up, but not really in a big way. The controls and gameplay are pretty much the same as before, but the thing that kind of separates this from 2008 is, well, making the controls more refined, but also adding a couple new features that actually help it out a lot better. This leads me to think that 2009 is pretty much what they were trying to go for in 2008, but 2008 just so happened to really suck. So the big feature they introduced this year is Road to WrestleMania, where you can take control of 7 different WWE superstars and go through a specifically written story for them and start from January, right around the Royal Rumble, through No Way Out, and then continue on to WrestleMania 24 to have your big final battle for the rivalry you're going through. And you get to play as CM Punk, Chris Jericho, Triple H, John Cena, Undertaker, and Batista and Rey Mysterio, with Batista and Rey having their own special tag team storyline. So if you wanted to play through Road to WrestleMania with a friend, you play through the Batista and Rey Mysterio storyline. Now, in terms of the actual quality of these stories, well, I have to say CM Punk's is the worst, mainly because it was on resurrected ECW instead of Raw, so you're pretty much fighting for a know-nothing world title. And probably the best one, in terms of something you could actually see happening on WWE television at that time, is Triple H's storyline, where you get a choice of whether to resurrect D-Generation X or Evolution. Throughout Road to WrestleMania, you have different objectives to do depending on what match you're playing and what point you are at in the story. So, one week you might have to hit your finisher multiple times on one opponent, or you would have to put your opponent through a table, stuff like that. And if you accomplish these goals, then you get to unlock something. You don't know what you unlock until you complete the task and win your match, or you just finish the objective you had to do. The voice quality in Road to WrestleMania, well, come on, it's WWE. They train these guys to act. They do a pretty good job of doing that in this game, but of course, some people are just better than others.
You can feel the electricity. You got that right. Now watch for Punk's strikes. The man just might have the most educated feet in the WWE today. And there are a lot of superstars who've been throwing out the running knee to the head. That's proved without a doubt why SmackDown, the dominant brand, is sports entertainment.
I can't help but agree, partner. You won't see action like this on Raw.
Talk about educated feet.
After night, the WWE superstars never fail to amaze the fans.
And that's a good thing. I don't even like to think about where we'd be if they didn't.
Well, we wouldn't be sitting here calling this match, that's for sure.
So, besides Road to WrestleMania, what else do they introduce in this game? Well, they introduced Creative Finisher, but more on that later when I talk about SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. There is also Career Mode, which I could also talk about in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. You can edit your superstars, whatever titles they're holding, and wait, all of this stuff is in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 also. You know what, maybe I should just start talking about that, because there really isn't that much else to this. The only thing that's worth playing in this is Road to WrestleMania, yeah, SmackDown vs. Raw 2010! Okay, so in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, you get Road to WrestleMania again. The only differences this time around are the superstars you can play as, which are Randy Orton, Edge, Shawn Michaels, Mickie James, Triple H, and John Cena in the tag team storyline, and you can actually play as one of your created superstars, with actual quality voice acting, thank God. Speaking of created superstars, they are the main focus point in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. Heck, it was all over the advertising.
Excuse me, a little help with my back? Nice.
So here, all of the different parts you can put on your created superstar have been retouched to look more like they're part of an actual model created by THQ, rather than having elbow pads pasted on. They actually look physically there. But because of this, you actually have a point limit of what you can put on your superstar, which kind of makes sense because you can't really stack layers upon layers upon layers of physical modeling items and just have the game being able to run like it should. Also new to the created superstars, and this segues into superstar threads, is the ability to assign different attires to your created superstar, which means you can actually create several different outfits for that same superstar without having to copying them into a different save file and just wasting space. As with superstar threads, well, you can take whatever clothing items the superstars are wearing and just simply change the color. It's a very simple concept, but it definitely goes a long way in customization. Speaking of customization, now is the time to draw comparisons between 2009 and 2010's handling of created superstars. In 2009, the only way to increase your superstar stats would have to be going through career mode and just playing through matches. But the way you gain your attributes and just gain abilities, it's really convoluted compared to here. You can just play matches, and just depending on what you do in the match, it gains you more attributes to work with and abilities to go along with it. And you can assign whatever abilities you want once you've unlocked them. So it's not like you're stuck with an ability that you don't want for that superstar. And now let's talk about creative finisher. In 2009, it was very primitive. You had a good amount of things to work with, but it was easy to assign parts where you spam damage on an opponent, and it really didn't equal a lot of online fun. In 2010, things are a lot more balanced, and plus, you have the ability to assign finishers that go off the top rope. But of course, you have to stay within the limits of reality, because you can't have someone doing 25 front flips in about 5 seconds. That just does not work. Now, for something that both SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 and 2010 share, is that they revamped the tag team matches. Gone are the days where you have to stand on the apron and wait for your dumb CPU partner to do something and then tag you in. Now you're free to run around on the apron and help out your partner whenever you can. There's also tag team finishers, illegal tags if you want to be a dick to your partner, and if you're the illegal partner in the match, you can actually initiate a hot tag, basically those moments where one of your partners is getting his ass kicked and you're trying to rally the crowd to make the big tag, and you go in, whoop some ass, hit the finisher, and bam, you are the winners! There's a lot more to this game than I'm talking about, but to go over every single minute detail is gonna pretty much take a lot more time than what's necessary, and really thinking about it, there's really not that much separating this from SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. The only thing that's really worth talking about in 2011 is the universe mode, because really it's pretty much the same game. Not that it's a bad thing, but you start to see where some of the criticism for this series comes from. If you're one of those people who really don't like the SmackDown vs. Raw games or current WWE games because they don't have these big game-changing features, I can understand that. I could argue with you about it, but I can understand where you're coming from. But see, the thing is that these games are starting to become a lot like the NBA and Madden games, where sure, there's this big feature that's introduced every year, but it's essentially the same game. And not much is going to change unless WWE starts introducing heavy machinery, or I don't know, something crazy like vehicles they're supposed to drive in and kill each other with, and oh wait, I already did that. But yeah, you get what I'm saying, right? So I guess I'll end this by shortly talking about SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, because like I said, there's not really that much else to cover that's introduced in that. So in SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, you have the Universe mode, introduced for the first time ever. You can run your own shows, manage all the superstars, all of the titles. You do what you want with it, and it really lacks all the stuff that's in Universe mode as of now. Sure, it can definitely be a lot better, both back then and right now. But I definitely see a lot of potential with that. And, well, Road to WrestleMania mode, again, you have John Cena, of course, he's John Cena. You have Rey Mysterio, Chris Jericho, and a special Fight Undertaker storyline with Kofi Kingston, R-Truth, John Morrison, I believe Dolph Ziggler, and a created superstar. And, well, I guess if I had to pick a favorite out of that, it would be the Fighting Undertaker storyline, even though they give you that horrible generic rock song that goes but you know, it's pretty much worth it just to see, you know, Paul Bearer once again going, "Oh yes, my Undertaker!" and fighting the Druids in that Druid Royal Rumble. But yeah, just other than that, there's not that much else to cover in the SmackDown vs. Raw games. If I was going to cover WWE 12 and WWE 13, as I originally intended, sure, I would definitely talk a lot more, but this is the SmackDown vs. Raw retrospective, and, you know, I just gotta stay within the actual SmackDown vs. Raw series. So, with that, I would like to thank you all for whoever decided to join me for this little trip along memory lane. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope you like, comment, and subscribe, even though I'm probably not going to be able to comment because I haven't really switched over to Google Plus yet, because Google Plus is such a crock of shit. Anyway, glad to have done this. See you guys next time.